sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
Greetings to everyone who is watching us. I am Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in to A Sip of Inspiration. Today's podcast is Words to Inspire with Paul A. Blake. So I'm going to do my little housekeeping as I always do, because you all know I'm poor about that according to my media coach. So if you're looking at this now, you are looking at this on YouTube and Twitch. I will add it to Facebook later. It seems that there was a connection problem, so I apologize for that. For those of you who went there, it will be in there later. And it will be on my website, champagneconnection.com. So when you go to my website, you'll see some merchandise. You'll see all the other previous podcast episodes and a lot of information that you can use to change your life and start to live your dreams, because, you know, I believe that we were all here for a specific purpose, and we were given a dream, and some of us are asleep. So wake up. I'm shaking you now. Wake up so that you can live your dream, because you all know I always say that the world is in the shape it's in because we are not doing the things that we were created to do. So go to champagneconnection.com and let me know what you think. So my sponsor, I have to do a shout out to my sponsor. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, Carl Resource Industrial Supply Equipment. They have sponsored every episode of A Sip of Inspiration, and I am grateful for their generosity. Joining me is Paul A. Blake, and I'm going to read a little bit from his bio. He's an author, motivational speaker, marriage counselor, okay, certified mentor, certified life coach, marriage officer, okay, minister of religion, entrepreneur, husband, and father. Okay. Paul is making waves. He's on a mission to live an abundant life. His philosophy is that the power to live abundantly rests in our will to believe that we can be more than we are now. Did you get that? The power to live abundantly rests in our will to believe that we can be more than we are now. So let's welcome Paul A. Blake. Thank you for joining me.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. Thank you much for the privilege. It's always a privilege to share on these platforms.
So as I was reading your bio, I see you are a marriage counselor and a marriage officer. So marriage is incredibly important to you. So tell us about that a little bit before we go into the meat of what you do.
Oh, wow. I have been married for 16 years to my beautiful wife, Raquel. And
16?
Yes, 16 years.
Okay.
And that's interesting because I grew up not wanting to be married. Before 1998, I had no intention of being married because my parents got divorced when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And their marriage was not a great marriage. Wasn't an example that I could follow. And so I had no intention of getting married. And meeting Christ the Lord in 1998 changed all of that. And my wife is someone, we didn't meet by accident or anything. She's somebody that I knew for a very long time. I actually grew up in the same church in Mandeville, where I'm from. And so, we formed a friendship, formed a bond over the years. And we just started dating. And out of that, a beautiful romance started. and for the last 60, and it has been very good. I mean, it is It's a wonderful relationship. Has its ups and downs like every other relationship, but I would not change a day for anything at all.
Well, fantastic. That is good to hear. See? So, what has been the most transformative moment in your life, and how did it shape the person you are today?
Yeah, I think for me, my transformation began, and I know the date, the 10th of June, 1998, and it's one of those days I will never forget. And it actually started out of a Bible study that I had been trying to avoid for about a year.
You're running for a year, huh? Finally caught you.
I was trying to avoid that Bible study for over a year, and I remember my minister, who's actually one of my mentors. I remember one of the things that he used to do is that he used to show up at my house at 1 o'clock every Monday afternoon. And he did that. He did that for over a year. He did it religiously. And interestingly, that afternoon, which was actually a Wednesday afternoon, I remember clearly because it was a day that the soccer World Cup started in France. That was the year that Jamaica qualified for World Cup. And I remember we had a Bible study. It was a young minister who is a year younger than myself, who was an avid fan of soccer also. And he came to my house and we had a Bible study. And for about an hour it lasted. And at the end of the Bible study, I remember the question that he asked me, because I again really had no intention of becoming a Christian. Then I just wanted the Bible study to be over. And he asked the question, if you should die today, what will happen? What do you think will happen to you? And for a person I have an answer for everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of those persons. I
Okay.
have an answer for everything. And I sat in that room that afternoon and I was speechless. I could not answer. My mind just went blank. I just could not answer. And I just said to him, you know what? Let's get this over with. And went to the church building and I got baptized that day about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that began my transformation. I grew up not being a very um, good student. I was labeled actually a slow learner. So a lot of my high school years, I didn't do very well in high school. And that particular transformation started an entire thing for me, because it was during that first 2 years of being a Christian, that I actually made a decision to enter into ministry. And I actually went to school for ministry, spent 4 years. And while I was in school for ministry, I was enrolled in university at the same time.
Okay.
And a student who could not pass subjects in high school, I graduated from university with an honors degree in theology, and graduated with my master's degree and got the highest award for my research. And so that kind of transformation, those things for me had an impact on my life. And I think the most important element in that is my minister, who refused to give up on me. He was the one that kept encouraging me at times when I really wanted to give up, at times when I really thought that all of this really doesn't make sense. I'm just fooling myself trying to do all of this. And he was the one that kept pushing me and said, look, you can't start this thing and not finish it. My minister, Mr. Brother Carl Powell.
Okay.
And I have to big him up. Every book that I write, his name is in it somewhere, or some lesson that he has taught me is there somewhere. So that is my entire transformation, and I think this is one of the reasons why I am compelled to impact the lives of other persons, and I don't give up on people easily.
Okay.
I think that when you come across some persons that sometimes are very difficult to deal with because of where they're coming from, because of how they're socialized and stuff. But what I find is that if a spark of hope remains, it makes a difference.
Yes. So you said that you that you were not easy to get to. Let's just say that.
No, I wasn't.
He kept on. He kept on, right? So besides you you accepted the fact that he wasn't going to stop. How did that make you feel? Did that make you feel better than you felt before, or work? Because some people don't like that. So how did that make you feel?
I think I think because my dad was missing for a part of my life, and I didn't have a very good relationship with my dad until I was about in my 20s.
Okay.
And I think that he filled that void that was there. A lot of things that conversations that I would have been longing for with my dad, he was the one that I ended up having those conversations with. And so he kept that hope alive.
Okay.
He kept that hope alive. I think one of the things that taught me is the importance of having male role models. It's very, very important. I think that's why many of our young men sometimes are lost, because that element of having a positive male role model is often absent.
Yes, I think girls need positive male role models too. I had
very true,
father, uncles, and it's amazing what you learn from all the people who were in your circle, and you learn different things from them too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So can you discuss a specific challenge or setback that you faced and the lessons that you learned to overcome it? Because it's important for us to understand that the things that we face actually don't come to destroy us. They come to teach us something.
Yeah. I think for me, the most significant thing that I can think of is for a good while, I struggled with believing in myself. I think I struggled with that for a great portion of my early life. And I think that stems from, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and not only with just parents alone, but family overall, very dysfunctional. And I'm talking about generations of dysfunction, not just one generation. And I think that had an impact on how I viewed myself. And so I didn't believe in my own ability for a very long time. There were things that I refused. I actually refused to try, even though I knew that I could do it. I just refused to do it because there was just something in the back of my mind that said, what if you try and you fail? So I really had to overcome that particular obstacle, and it was like pushing a boulder uphill, because every time you, even when I was in university and I didn't get anything below a B+ for any course that I did, but yet still that element of self-doubt was always there. Even to the point when I did my last exam in university and I got an A, just the fact of facing a graduation, there was also a doubt. And so I had to really, really work to overcome that self-doubt. Because one of the things that I realized is that it kept me back from achieving many things. And sometimes it puts you in a place where you're always playing catch up when you actually should be ahead. So I really had to work over that. One of my favorite Bible verses is John 10:10. I have come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. And I've internalized that particular Bible verse. Why? Because when I look at it, one of the things that I draw from it is that when God placed me here on earth, he did not place me here to just for my spiritual self, but also to enjoy the physical aspect of life. And so I look at my life as being two-dimensional, spiritual and physical. And so if I serve a great big God, then I believe that God also wants me to enjoy what life has to offer. And the only way that I can enjoy what life has to offer is by being my best self. The only way that I can help other persons is by being my best self. And so when I look at that, I say, man, God, this is what God has placed me here to do, and this is what He has poured into me for. So I don't see you have to put that doubt aside, get over it, and move on. And again, it comes back to the influence of persons that I have. I one of the statements that you will always hear me make when I'm doing speaking engagements. I don't keep friends around me who can't add value to my life, and I add value to theirs. Because go ahead.
Yeah, hold on, put a pin on that because you're so right. I want to go back a little bit to the managing the self-talk part, because that's something that most people have a problem with, is managing their self-talk. So what are some techniques that that you've used that maybe can help some of the people listening to manage their self-talk?
I read a lot, and I choose what I read with a fine tooth comb.
Okay.
There's there's enough negative around us, and I really choose what I read, what I listen to. I choose the persons that I have around me, because these are the persons that are going to feed into who I am and who I want to be. Um, Positive self-talk. I have to literally speak to myself every day about my abilities. So even before anybody celebrates me, I celebrate myself.
Okay.
Because I have to believe in me before anybody else believes in me. So that for me is something that keeps me going. I am big into mindfulness.
Okay.
I have to be in touch with who I am as a person before I can, because one of the things, even persons who are involved in the field that we're involved in, it is easy to speak some words to make somebody feel good, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't resonate with you, the person who is pouring out these things, then all that it is a bunch of words that you have just said.
Okay. So you take time to celebrate yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
yes.
So I want those of you that are listening here. So we've got a couple of gems here. One of them is that you got to believe in yourself. Okay, and you start with small things if you have to, because people say, "Oh, but I don't believe." But there's something that you do that you can count on yourself to do, and you can use to believe in yourself. So start small if you have to, but get started. And celebrate yourself. That's a wonderful thing, to celebrate yourself. Now, what happens when so the negative self-talk, because I know that happens to me. And Paul is really kind, because he stops and analyzes it and talks nice to his end. I tell mine to shut the hell up, but I don't know about y'all, okay? I say, that's not true. Hush. I'm not listening to you today. But that's just me. So he has a nicer, kinder way to do it. So we'll do it his way. So. And when you celebrate yourself, do you take time to write down some of your accomplishments? Because it's hard to remember them. We're moving so fast in life. It's hard to remember even what we were grateful for yesterday, not alone what we accomplished. So
interestingly, who taught me that? My wife.
Oh,
my wife is the person that taught me that.
Hand clap to wife. Okay.
And again, how we are cultured and socialized, it plays a big role in how we view life. Because I grew up not really celebrating anything. Oh. I was never big on birthdays and all of that. But my wife celebrates everything. My wife celebrates every significant moment in her life. And she makes me celebrate it, even if I don't want to. And so I have really taken on that and seen the importance of, recognizing milestones. And also one I think one of the reasons why I do it for myself also is that I am raising a son. We have one son, and I also want him to understand the value of celebrating things. I want him to understand that there's nothing wrong when you have made a milestone to celebrate it. And one of the reasons why I do that is that nobody is obligated to celebrate anything for you. No matter what achievements we make in life, nobody is obligated to celebrate for us. So it is best that you recognize your milestones yourself and be very comfortable in doing that.
Thank you for that reminder for me and for those who are listening, because I know some of us are saying, well, I did a good thing and nobody said anything. So you're right. We have to celebrate ourselves. And it helps if you write those down, because at the end of the year, you will be surprised
Yes.
at everything that you've accomplished, at all the good that you've done for yourself and for others. And we tend to forget that.
Yeah, I'm a part of a group of entrepreneurs. So most of us are authors, and every month we do a goal setting, and at the end of the month we recognize our wins. And we started that last year, and I have been my mind has been blown as to how much I've achieved in a year. And just starting this year, my mind has been blown just by, and so some of the things that I considered to be so insignificant were actually wins. And the fact that I'm now writing down these things and documenting them, it makes so much of a difference in how I see life.
That is fantastic. So, talk a little bit about the author part. So, since you've just mentioned the group of authors, so what books have you written?
Well, I've written 5 books so far.
Okay.
I've written Words to Inspire, volumes 1 and 2, and those 2 books just came out of. I started writing quotes on Facebook, and just every day all of them are original things that I thought about. Some of them sometimes didn't make a lot of sense to me, but when I wrote them down, people found favor with them, and so I did that for a good while. And then I was encouraged that, you write down these things every day. Why don't you just turn them to write a book? And I started writing. What I did, I just took the quotes that I wrote and expanded them into 3 paragraphs each. And one book became 2 books.
Oh,
so,
wow.
so I have volume 1 and volume 2. Yeah, one book became 2 books. I have a 40-day devotional, abundant life devotional. I wrote a book for young men called Unlocking Proverbs. What I did was I took verses from Proverbs and expanded them into encouragement for young men. I actually used that book in my mentorship program. Is called Unlocking Proverbs: Lessons from a Father to His Son. And then there's another book that is called My Story, and that book is just documented different aspects of my own journey. It's called My Story: Journey to Purpose. Just look at different aspects of some of the challenges, some of the even the failures that I've had. And so that's 5. And I have probably another 4 manuscripts that are supposed to be published soon. I'm actually working on one to be published by the end of this year. It's a book on pastoral counseling and care in the church. One of my passions. That book is called Shepherding the Flock.
Cool. So, as you were gathering your quotes, what was one of your favorites?
What was one of my favorite?
Yeah.
I think I said it. I think one of my favorite things that I wrote down was there's always a necessity to upgrade your friends.
Oh, let's talk about that. So there's upgrading our friends. Okay, so why should we upgrade our friends? And when do we know when? How do we know when it's time?
I truly believe that all of us are on a particular journey in life. And the unfortunate thing that not everybody is prepared for the journey that we are on. If we keep some people within our circle, we will never reach our destination, because there are persons who pull from us rather than adding to who we are as individuals. And the truth is, you do yourself a disservice by allowing persons to pull from you who don't add value to you. And the truth is, if that person was in your position, I don't think that they would carry you on the journey. So you owe it to yourself that at some point in time, you have to do an inventory of the people that you have in your life, whether they are family, friends, or acquaintances. You have to do an inventory. And if those persons are pulling from you, just think of it. You have somebody in your circle, and every time that you go in that person's presence, all that they have to say is negative stuff. My question is, why do you want to carry that person along on your journey? What value, what real value is that person adding to your life if every time you are trying to make a step forward, that person tells you how much you can't do it and how much you're not worthy to be going on the journey that you're going on? Why are you going to have that person in your circle? So I strongly believe in inventory. You have to stop every now and then and take stock of the persons that you have in your life. Even in a church setting, sometimes you're in a church, and unfortunately we don't like talking about it, but sometimes you have to move ground.
Yes.
It sounds a bit uncomfortable, but sometimes you have to.
So Paul has recommended that you do sit down periodically and do an inventory of your friends. Now, those of you who follow me know that I think you should do that once a year. So, and do an inventory of your friends, because he's right. There's been a lot of statistics about how much you can accomplish based upon the people you surround yourself with, because we're sharing each other's energy. So if you want to go far, you've got to be sure that you're going with the people who actually will empower you as opposed to drain you.
And it doesn't mean that you're becoming mean and unloving, and
Right.
it's not that you're thinking that you're better than anybody else. But the truth is, if you want to serve humanity, you can only serve humanity being your best self.
Right. Be your best self. So, in your journey, who and what has been a significant source of inspiration, and how has it impacted your outlook on life? I know we've talked about the gentleman that encouraged you strongly to go to earlier, but was there anyone else?
Well, I will begin with him, because he has made an impact on me that unlike anybody else that um I have come across and there are many persons who have impacted my life. But there's one thing about him that is very special, and I think that is patience.
Ah,
Um, in my journey, there were many persons who were not patient with me, and I think that is what I messed up a lot of times, because persons were not patient. Um, I was like a piece of board that was rough, that needed some sandpaper. And sometimes when you are doing woodwork, you need different grades of sandpaper because of how coarse the wood is. So I was like that.
okay.
And he was one of the only few persons who had that kind of patience, that when I messed up big time, he was the one who would pat me on the shoulder and says, "This is not the end of the world. All that you need to do is to move on from this. Do what you need to do. Say if you're sorry, if you, and all of that. Make your restitution if you need to do, but you have to move on from this." And I think that patience made a great deal in my life. My wife is also another person who. My wife is very patient also, and I've had a lot of persons with patience. My wife is an encourager. A lot of stuff that I have achieved was because of her encouragement.
Okay.
She was the one that said, "You can do it. You can." Even when I was going to college and wanted to give up, she said, You have to finish, because it makes no sense you start this journey and don't finish it. You have to finish, and that's it. My family for me is a big thing. I think that my strength comes from my family. I have three brothers and a sister, and my mother, father. My father and I mean, we have a very great relationship now, and it's something that I really, really cherish. Took me at the age of 26 years old to start building that relationship with him. I am now 51, and it has been a journey. And I think my studies in psychology and counseling has helped me to understand a lot of things about my dad, which I didn't understand before. And I have a better appreciation for a lot of the stuff that he went through that would have actually made me bitter back then. But I can understand the kind of journey that he had to get to where he is. So that that is my circle, my family, my minister, my wife, my son. I keep those people close to my heart. These are the persons that influence me. These are the persons that make me want to be better.
So, how do you cultivate a positive mindset? And what advice do you have for others looking to adopt a more optimistic approach to life?
Oh, Lord.
Okay, right. so we're gonna give you guys about 5 seconds to get some paper and pencil out right now, because this is a loaded question.
My positive mindset begins in the Word of God. That's my point of reference. I saturate myself with what God's Word says. Sometimes I don't like what it says, but I know it's good for me. So I wake up, I try to wake up every day with a passion for life, even when things are not the best. I don't wait until things are the best to celebrate what life is, because even on a very bad day, God is still good. And that is something that keeps me going. I try to, invite things into my space. I wake up every day and I will read a positive thought from somewhere. I draw. I'm a big fan of music. I listen a lot of music. I have very weird taste in music. Also, some of the music that I listen to, nobody else will listen to it. But that's where I draw. That's where I draw my inspiration from. I write a lot also. I do a lot of writing. So I'm always writing down something somewhere. As soon as I think of something, I just write it down. And it helps me to unwind and to unload. That's where my whole thing comes from. So if somebody's looking, I believe strongly in mindset. I believe that if I can change the way how I think, then I can my potential is limitless if I can change how I think. So I believe a lot of us, our failures and our hardships begin in how we think. And the minute we can transform the way we think, then there is no limit to what we can achieve. So I believe that this right here is important, right? And as soon as a negative thought comes into my mind, I try to push it out of here, don't stay here. Because if I carry that with me, then, and Jesus says it. Jesus says, out of the abundance of the heart flows. Right? Whatever we take in here is what we put out into the world. Whatever our minds conceive is what our actions become. And so therefore, if I want to be a positive person who motivates other people, then I have to get it right up here.
So what techniques can people use, that maybe you could recommend to stop those negative thoughts? A lot of people say that they try to stay focused on the positive, but this one thought comes. I just send it off somewhere and pay it no attention. But that's a process too. So what process can people use to stop the negative thoughts in their track?
I'm going to put on my counseling hat for a little minute.
Okay.
One of the things that stop a lot of us from moving forward is the unresolved issues that we have of the past.
Okay.
If we want to progress by moving forward, we have to deal with the issues that we have in the past. And I can speak from experience. I would not be who I am today if I had not dealt with the past. And part of dealing with the past is forgiveness. You will never be able to move forward without forgiveness. You have to forgive self, and you have to forgive the people who have done you wrong, and you have to forgive the people who you perceive have done you wrong. that is important. But you just have to look at what are the issues that you would have had in your past that is contributing to your present mindset or your present behavior. You have to deal with those, because the truth is, no matter how many motivational books we read, no matter how many motivational speeches we hear, no matter how much mindfulness we indulge in or whatever techniques we can find, if we don't deal with our demons in the past, we'll never be able to move forward. And I've always said that to persons. Yes, it is good listening to all of the positive self-talk and all of that. But all that you'll be doing if you don't deal with the past is that you're actually carrying baggage of the past into the present.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have it in the present, you're also going to bring it with you into the future. And the danger with that is that our baggage doesn't only affect us, it affects the people around us.
I'm making a note.
Yes.
So if y'all see that, you know where I got it from, right? You are so right. We do have to deal with the past. We do have to forgive, and we should forgive at least daily. You can't take that stuff into the next day.
Yes.
I remember a story someone told about a guy who would come home from work at night and he'd empty his pockets, and he would have a lot of coins, and he would do it one coin at a time. And finally, one of his kids says, "Daddy, why do you do that?" He says, "I am releasing the things that hurt me today."
Yes.
And he would do it one by one and release them. And then he says, and when I get up in the morning, I'm going to bless those same coins because they're going to be my blessings for today.
Mm-hmm.
So,
true.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, that is so cool.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff. And again, because I am a Christian, my point of reference is always going to go back to what God's word says. And one of the things that, the word always emphasizes is hope. And so I live in hope. No matter how, and I'm not in any way suggesting that I don't have bad days and bad times and dark times and all of that. I do. But I live in hope.
Mm-hmm.
I have a particular approach to life. And it comes from something that I heard someone say many years ago. I was in Texas at a conference one year, and a preacher gave an illustration about driving through the rain. And he said that he was driving through a thunderstorm for about an hour. And he kept driving and he kept wondering if he should turn back, because all that he was driving, that the storm was just getting worse. And he just kept driving, and he said he just suddenly came out into sunshine. And he said, one of the things I've learned from that, no matter how much the rain is falling, the sun is shining somewhere.
That's right.
And I have never forgotten that statement. The sun is always shining somewhere. So no matter how bad life gets, I live in hope. Because no matter how bad today is, tomorrow can't be as bad as today.
That's true. Well, can you share a moment when you felt like giving up And what motivated you to persevere?
Oh, wow. Man, there have been so many of those.
Well, we want a big juicy one, okay? So don't give us
There-
the kind for light one. We want a good one.
I think the hardest period of my life was when I left where I was. When I began ministry, I went to school for ministry. I gave up my job. I gave up the home where I was living. Um, I didn't have any means of funding my 4 years in school. And when I got to school, I remember when I walked into the dorm that Sunday evening and I looked at the dorm, I says, "Good Lord, what have I done to myself?" And it was 4 difficult years, very difficult years. And there were times when I literally wanted to, I said, no, this is not for me. This is not what God called me here for. I mean, there were days because I lived, we lived in a dormitory where even what we ate as students had to be funded by the church, had to be funded by members volunteering and so forth. And there were times when there was no money to buy anything. And we had to basically we were at the mercy of everybody else. And I said, there were many times I said to myself, as a matter of fact, that time I was dating my wife. And there were days when she came to look for me. I said, look here, I want to leave. I want to get out of here. And she kept saying that you have started, so you can finish. And
That's right.
You know, one thing, I think one of the things that helped me to overcome was a statement that I thought was in the Bible, and I found out later that it is nowhere in the Bible. This too shall pass. That statement is a statement that has resonated with me throughout life, that this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned in that time that in order for God to prepare to use you, you have to go through some stuff. When I look at the biblical examples that I have, I remember people like Elijah becoming depressed because he thought that he was the only prophet in Israel. And God had to bring him by a dry river and feed him in order to prepare him to do something great. And when I look at those examples, I said, who am I not to allow God to use me? Why should my hardships be different from anybody else? Because that is what God does. So I have learned like what, and you know, my name is Paul, but I've learned like Paul to be contented in whatever state that I am. And it begins with my mindset. And so one of my things in life is that if I have a little, Stephanie, I celebrate it. And if I have much, I celebrate it and give it away. Because God has been extreme. God has taken me through some very difficult times. Times when I got into a period of depression at one point in time when I was in ministry. Went through some times when I decided that I'm going to just walk away from this. And the truth is, sometimes the people that you serve are the people who hurt you the most. And I've experienced those things. I did 15 years in full-time ministry. And I've experienced some very, very dark days. But there's one thing that keeps me going, is when that one person whose life you have impacted will come to you and say, you know, you have made a difference to me. Even when you thought that you were not getting through to them, that one person comes forward and say, because of what you have done, because of what you have said, you have made a difference to me. And that keeps me going. I don't need a whole group of persons to applaud me. I just need that one person to say that I've impacted you.
So let's talk about words to inspire.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of your favorite quotes of the quotes that you've written? But you know, we always have our little favorites.
Let me see if I can find one or two of them.
And where can they find your books?
All right, my all of my books are on Amazon. You
Okay.
can find every one of them on Amazon. Um, they are also at Draft Digital, and I'm trying now to get some into Barnes and Noble.
And
Stephanie.
they're available digital, and then they can actually get a hard copy.
Yes, yeah, they're all available, digital and hard copy.
And out of your books, do you have a favorite?
My favorite, I think, is Volume One of Words to Inspire.
Okay.
Volume One. And interestingly, why? I think of all the books that I've written, that might have been the hardest one, because it took a lot of getting over self-doubt. Even at the point when I finished it, I took a while before I even published it, because I kept thinking, why is anybody going to read this? Is anybody going to anybody's going to buy this? Who am I to have written this book? What can you say to anybody? I struggled with that a lot. And when I finally put that book up on Amazon and the person started reading it, I said, wow. The person started buying it. And I mean, I got some reviews, especially from persons from church and different workshops that I did, and persons said that it impacted them and thoughts came out. I said, boy, God is good. God is good. I can't find. I'm trying to find.
Okay. Well, I've still got questions, so don't get
Mhm.
stuck on that.
Okay.
So, as the CEO and founder of Words Worth It, motivational speaking and training company, what does your day look like? What do you do during the course of the day to help other people live an abundant life?
Well, I'm one of those crazy persons who can't sit one place for very too long. So I am involved. I teach at the same school that I went to for ministry. I teach there. I help to
Okay.
train ministers. I have two counseling offices, that I'm at one 5 days per week, and on the weekend I'm at the other one.
Okay.
I do speaking engagements, sometimes 2 3 times per week. I have a mentorship group that I run for young men. I actually have two of them. We, my wife and I do a program every 2 weeks for LBW Radio, which is a radio station out of Bonnier, called Level Up Your Marriage. We are big into marriage enrichment. So that's basic. I am, in other words, I am always on the go.
So, share a tip about enriching your marriage.
Wow. From You have to like the person that you are married to.
I'll say that again. You have to like the
You
person
have
you're
to.
married to.
I notice I didn't say love.
Right.
You have to like the person who you're married to. I think that one of the greatest blessings of marriage is actually to be friends with the person that you're married to, and you don't allow life to get in the way. Because we have a tendency when we get married, and as the years go by, we stop laughing, we stop joking, we stop having light moments,
Yeah.
and those are the things that keeps relationships alive. Don't allow the children and in-laws to get the best part of your marriage. I tell my couples that even when you have children, the children are secondary to your relationship. because one day they're going to leave. And I don't know if you know, but a lot of divorces take place when children leave home.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought that
Yeah,
was a celebration
yes,
time.
yeah, yeah. A lot of divorce happens when children leave home. Why? Because you have invested so much time in raising children and not investing in a relationship that when the children leave, you have two strangers left in the house.
Okay.
And that a lot of times that's when the relationship becomes very toxic also. Right. So I encourage couples to keep that spark of friendship in your relationship. Keep it alive. Don't allow life's difficulties to get you to stop smiling.
So do you do like date night? What are some tips people can use to keep it
Yes,
alive?
yeah. I don't have a choice. My wife is big on that part. We have to stop to make time for each other,
Mhm.
right? And even well, she doesn't allow me to get too busy that I don't stop to take time for each other, and that's important. So, and it doesn't have to be an official date night as we call it, but just being in the house and being present. Because many times we can be in the same space as couples, and but we are not present. So
That's
being
true. Right. One's watching television, the other one's playing a
yeah
game. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
being, being present is important. So cooking, whatever needs to be done in the house, you do it together. It sounds cliche, but guess what? These are the things that keep people's relationship alive. And if we were spending more time doing stuff like that, we would have better marriages.
Okay. That's right. I Because my husband and do things together. Just some things just not planned, and some are
Yeah.
planned. And
Yes.
and the not planned things are a lot of fun, actually. So,
Yeah. Very much so. Very
yeah.
much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
And again, you have to discover what works for you. Don't get tied down to what people think you should be doing. Find out what works for you, because the truth is what you and your spouse enjoy might seem out of this world to somebody else. but but if you enjoy doing it, why not?
That's right. So I had one more question. So if someone contacts you and just says, "Oh, I'm having a hard time with whatever," what's an easy thing someone can do to lift their spirits right away?
I didn't hear the first part.
So
Repeat for me.
when sometimes people will contact you and say, "Oh, nothing's going well. I don't know what to do. I need help." What's one thing that they could do to lift their spirits immediately?
I think I would start with that person that don't be too hard on yourself, because life gets mundane sometimes. And that's just the reality. What you should be doing though is find something to invest in, finding something. And the truth is, it doesn't have to be, I'm looking for a word. It doesn't have to be what people people like to put us in boxes
Okay.
and say that we must be doing this and we must be doing that, and it must follow a particular sequence.
Right.
And life doesn't work like that. So I find that in our dull moments, or in our down moments, I don't like to call them dull, but in our down moments, that is when we are most creative. And we need to find a way to tap into that spark. Some of my best writing comes from the time when I feel I have nothing to write about, where I go deep within myself and I just find that one line that
Mm-hmm.
will start something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think one of the mistakes that we make as individuals is to think that life must follow a particular trajectory, and that's I think that's a lie that the devil tells us.
Okay.
So if it is not going this particular way, we feel like as if we are failing and that we are not achieving much.
Right.
And that's not true. So in these times when we think that nothing is going on, one of the things I've always said, that is possible when God is preparing you for something great.
Oh.
So we use our dull moments to become depressed and to curse life, the unfortunate circumstances of life when we think that nothing is going on. But have we ever thought about the fact that when we think that nothing is going on, that is when God is preparing us for great things? You know, I've learned over the years not to preempt what God is doing. Because God doesn't work on my time or my agenda. He works when he pleases.
And I've learned that when you get those down times, don't question them. Enjoy them.
No, don't.
Because a busy period is brewing underneath that. And then you'll say, oh my God, when I had some time to rest or do this, I didn't.
Yeah.
So enjoy them. Do things that you want to do. Nurture yourself. Do a lot of self-care. Meditate.
And even in those downtimes,
right,
we also can use those downtimes to reach out to other persons.
That's right.
Because it's not always about us.
Right. Just take advantage of it, because when they pass, you're going to be so busy and you're going to be praying for downtime.
That's true.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, and I want all of you all to go out to Amazon. He has, you said 5 books now?
Yes.
5 books, 4 in the hopper now. So, but 5 books, and go out and visit Amazon and purchase a book, and let me know, and let him know too how you liked it, because I'm sure the words to inspire has got to be an awesome book. Yes. And it's always nice to be able to pick up one of those and just get a quote just to set your day. So thank you for that. As we close, may this day offer you just what you need in each unfolding moment. Trust your greatness and embrace your power. See, with the right pair of shoes, you all know I can accomplish anything. So be inspired, and until further notice, celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night. Find a hero worth dying for and take it, and be the person that you are waiting for. Make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous, and above all else, do it your way. You all have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me